Welcome to this week's episode of Coffee with the Journalist, brought to you by One Pitch. The guests on our show include some of the most notable journalists from the top US-based publications who cover topics including technology, lifestyle and culture, health, science, consumer products, and business news. We discuss their role, the types of stories they cover, what their inbox looks like, and how they connect with sources. Have you heard about our brand new video series featuring guests from the podcast, including today's? Head to onepitch.co and look for the video page to learn more and subscribe on YouTube. Today's guest is Jeff Benson, senior editor for Decrypt. Jeff covers a wide range of crypto news, including NFTs, cryptocurrencies, crypto trading companies, and more. He's also worked with organizations such as UNICEF and spent time in Uganda as a consultant. During the episode, Jeff shares more about pitching thought leaders on the site, how to approach him with exclusives, his favorite stories to write, and so much more. Let's hear more from Jeff now.
Welcome, everyone. This is One Pitch, Coffee with a Journalist, the podcast where you get to hear live from real deal journalists, what they like, what they don't like, pitches, etc. Do they like PR people? Some of them do. It's kind of nice. I'm Beck Bamberger. I have an agency. That's why we created this whole thing called BAM. We work with all venture-backed technology companies. And then, of course, I helped create this thing, One Pitch, to help your pitches get to the right people. With us today, I hope you like some crypto, everybody. If you are, you're in the right place. We have the senior editor from Decrypt on, Jeff Benson. Welcome, Jeff.
Hi, Beck. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for being here. So first, let's not get into the inbox real quick. For those who don't know, give us an overview of Decrypt.
Okay, Decrypt is Web3 media. So essentially, it exists to explain the cryptocurrency and blockchain technology space to people that may not know a lot about it, and for people that do know a lot about it. So we try to meet people where they're at.
And can you give us maybe an understanding of how many people, how many writers are there, how many people are you overseeing, etc.?
We are fastly expanding. I'd say between people that are doing the writing and people doing kind of back of the house stuff, there's probably 30 folks at Decrypt. And we put up, I'd say, about 15 articles a day.
Fantastic. And by the way, for those listening, they are all over the place. You got people in Berlin, Venezuela, New York, Colorado. I see all types of people. So by all means.
We have people all over the globe. And we also have a Decrypt Espanol site.
Ooh. Dang, great. Habla Espanol. Great. Oh, yes. Your social media manager, I see, is in Mexico City. Ooh, good city.
That's right, Laura.
Nice. Okay. Now, Jeff, now that we have that primer, your inbox, how is it? And is it out of control?
It's always a mess. The inbox is the thing that I never want to check. Yeah, I've got Twitter, I've got Discord, I've got Telegram, I've got multiple email addresses. So yeah, the inbox sometimes doesn't get pruned as much as I would like.
How do you keep then pitches particularly straight? Are you opening every pitch, filing them, forwarding them? Because you're also an editor, so you're not necessarily writing all the pieces, of course.
I do quite a bit of writing.
Okay.
Well, I will tell you that I do not open every email that I receive. If it's a cold email coming from a project that I'm not very familiar with, I may just kind of quickly archive it after seeing the subject line.
So subject line is the barrier to open?
Well, I mean, the subject line is a barrier, and also just who is sending it. There are umpteen thousand projects in the cryptocurrency space right now, and it's very hard to keep track of them. And most of the pitches I get are from small startups looking for some airtime.
And so with that, when they're small startups, because sometimes we ask this of more the tech publications we have, like the Tech Crunches or maybe Fast Company,
right?
Is it the founders reaching out or is it publicists? I would imagine it's the founders, but tell me.
A lot of times it's publicists, or maybe it's the founders alias.
Oh, I see. Okay.
There's quite a bit of money in the space. And so I think most people are using PR firms, but yeah, it's typically publicists. A lot of the times the pitches that I receive are publicists wanting to put me in touch with a founder or to talk about a particular issue. which is nice in theory, but usually it's not someone with name recognition in the space. It's someone looking to build name recognition in the space.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
So they're trying to present you a thought leader, but there's no thoughts yet.
Yeah, there are thoughts, but
there are thoughts, but they don't mean anything.
Yeah.
God, this comes up quite often in other PR circles that I'm part of, in communities of, God, what do you do when this is your first startup? You've been doing it 18 months. You maybe dropped out of college or you didn't go to college, whatever it is. You just raised a little chunk of change. You really don't have a leg to stand on yet in terms of exits or something like that. We usually don't get into the thought leadership pitches particularly, but what's a good thought leadership pitch to you?
That's a great question. So I'll give an example of a recent piece that we did where a startup raised about $2 million in seed funding, which is not big number, but they had a specific problem that they were looking to solve. And in the tech space, a lot of our readers are interested in, hey, I got this problem with this particular aspect of the technology, and I haven't really seen a good solution for that. So when we have something to present that says, hey, here's somebody who's working on that particular problem, they're just getting started, that's interesting for people. So if you can present, here's the problem, here's how this person aims to solve it, that's really great for us.
Okay, gotcha. So come with a solution of the problem solved. Gotcha. What do you do, Jeff, for when we have editors on, we like to talk about this in terms of vetting and maybe sending along pitches? Do you vet them out to your team of, the 30-ish people? I know they're not all writers, but do you forward them along? Because sometimes people wonder, do I pitch an editor or should I just only pitch writers, reporters directly?
I find that a lot of people, they throw the spaghetti up against the wall and they email every Decrypt address that they can find.
No, such a no-no, right?
Well, maybe not, because usually what we're doing is we're sharing pitches among the editors anyway and saying, hey, is this something that we should consider assigning? Usually we're looking for confirmation from another editor before we go ahead and assign you a writer.
Do you all have a Slack group or something where you're chatting about pitches and bad pitches? I know some outlets have those.
We do have a pitch channel Slack group. Yes. but
Confirmed. Confirmed. Okay. Well, for you then, Jeff, because you do get to write stories, you're not just doing all the editing and stuff. You got quite a bit on Ethereum particularly, and legislation I'm looking at. Oh, you're doing something on, in India, the regulations. Looks like you're doing a lot of regulatory stuff. You're talking about the Senate. How do you get your story inspiration?
How do I get my story inspiration?
Yeah. Does it ever come from a pitch, or are you doing your daily walk and meditating, and that's where you think and contemplate stories?
You know what? I feel like I'm so busy, I don't really have time to think about it. It's just, I have the spots where I show up. I show up on Twitter. There's a couple of aggregator sites that I look at, see if there's anything popping in certain Telegram channels. Most of my inspiration doesn't come from emails. Usually the news just somehow magically presents itself. So, unlike writing a novel where it's like, what do I want to have happen? This is I find much easier.
This is different. Yeah. Got you. Okay. Thanks for showcasing that and letting us know. Is there something you're particularly looking for pitch-wise right now?
Yeah. I mean, not to get too much in the weeds, but I see some pitches that are very sort of general, sort of cryptocurrency, whatever. But since we're a cryptocurrency site, we're looking for something a little bit more specific. So if I can imagine a headline that includes Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, Dogecoin, Shiba Inu, any sort of cryptocurrency that has brand name recognition, I'm really interested in that. I'm also always looking for big numbers. If someone's doing a big fundraise, that's interesting. I want to get in on that. So I'm always looking for pitches that have to deal with specific cryptocurrencies or improving a situation with a specific cryptocurrency.
Gotcha. So
this is good.
Yeah. So not specifics. I imagine you get pitches that are like, crypto, it's the new fintech thing.
Right. Pitches that aren't necessarily calibrated to our particular audience, which has a little bit of knowledge coming in.
Yeah. Gotcha. Okay, everybody. Hope everyone's listening here.
Today's interview will continue after this brief message brought to you by OnePitch. Are you curious to see the unique ways OnePitch helps PR professionals and marketers pitch journalists? Head to onepitch.co to learn about our new OnePitch score and see how easy it is to find the right journalist to pitch your news to. Sign up for your free account today. Now, back to today's episode.
Jeff, I have a little fill in the blank now part for us. So I'm going to tee up the phrase and you fill in the blank. How about that?
Sounds great.
Let's do it. My favorite sources always
are other writers.
Other writers? Oh, wow. No one's ever said that before, but that's good. Okay. The most annoying sources always are not writers.
The most annoying sources always are the PR folks that can't admit that their client might not have a story.
So sad. I feel for them.
Because you're representing a client, but sometimes I want you to say, look, they want this. I don't know if there's something there, but maybe we can find something in it.
Well, that's then I kind of go into something is amiss with the firm or what's happening. You shouldn't have that client, or that's at the far end of the spectrum, but rather you should be educating and working as partners. We're big about partnership at BAM on, hey, you painted the wall. That's not a press release. We're not going to do that. But here's what we can do over here instead. I mean, like, you got to dance with the client. And I don't feel that many firms, unfortunately, do. And so it's like, oh, you painted the walls? Okay, we'll get that press release written right now.
Right. And I do get plenty of wall painting press releases.
Oh, that's a new term, Jeff. I'm going to call it that, wall painting press releases. New phrase. Do not send wall painting press releases. No wall painting. Okay. You'll get a response from me if
you've met me in person.
There we go. We just talked about it on the pitch tips. You can follow up with me if
I tell you that I'll respect the embargo.
Oh, there you go. It would be a huge help if sources.
It would be a huge help if sources told me straight when they've given the exclusive to somebody else.
Burn. The best compliment I received about my work was. This is so entertaining for you, Jeff. I love it.
Yeah, it is. It's super entertaining for me. The best compliment was probably when a firm that I wrote about didn't retweet my article.
Wait. Rewind. The best compliment was when they didn't?
Yeah.
I'm confused.
So I love when somebody tells me that I really got everything right and that it was a good piece. But I also love it when it feels just a little bit that it's not a puff piece. And so enough that they're not sure whether or not this is the article that they want out on them. I know that's where PR and journalists are a little bit at odds, but I think there's sometimes an assumption that I'm just going to write up whatever you tell me and I'm not going to add in any context. And so sometimes I feel the most exemplary pieces are the ones that a firm is maybe 50% happy with instead of like 110%.
Oh, I got you. Ooh, that's good. Ooh, haven't heard that before. Okay. My favorite stories to write are?
My favorite stories to write are about regulations.
I was noticing with all your stories, what's generating that interest for you? Because some people are like, regulations, God, last thing I want to touch with a poll.
I was a politics nerd.
Yes, you were.
And love it. So anything about the regulatory sphere, there's kind of this battle between different powers that you can kind of get into. It's really interesting getting in the weeds there. And I also love stuff that has to do with international relations and politics, stuff about Bitcoin mining moving from China to Kazakhstan. That sort of stuff's super interesting. The geopolitical ramifications of that.
Yeah, you look like you did politics for your undergrad. So, yep. Oh, how fun. And now you get to still do it today. Hey, way to convert that degree to something you're still doing.
Yeah.
That's awesome. My perfect Sunday is
one where I'm not on Twitter, not on my email, not in Discord, not on Telegram.
Not in front of a screen, maybe?
Not in front of a screen whatsoever.
Not in front of a screen. There you go. my favorite hobby is?
Well, it used to be writing, but now I do that for a living. So I'm in search of new hobbies.
Isn't that sad? I think about that all the time of when you when you have something you love and then it becomes the work that you're paid for in some way, shape, or form, and it totally shakes the hobby fun of it. I don't know what it is. When money suddenly gets involved, it changes a little bit.
It can, but I feel like I'm lucky enough to do something every day that fills my cup. So I'm pretty happy about it. And when I did it as a hobby, it was like, oh, I need to make time to write. And now there's no question about doing that. I always get to do it.
Every day.
Yeah.
The last song I listened to was. Tell us the truth, Jeff. If it was Mariah Carey Christmas, it's okay.
It was not Mariah Carey Christmas. It was the theme song to Peppa Pig.
Really?
Yep.
I take it you have children. Perhaps otherwise it's just for fun. Okay, you got kids. That's always a signal for when it's those songs. During the holidays, I most look forward to
Eggnog.
Eggnog. Wow, you don't hear that at all. Wow, Jeff. Okay. You have a certain brand you like, or you make it, or what?
No, I just go to Costco.
Go to Costco. Yeah, what's over there? Okay. Quarantine has taught me
that people really are social beings.
Yeah, we really are, which I love. I don't think that's a bad thing. We need to connectivity like that. I just met someone for coffee in person, and it was like, oh, this is so nice.
It's a totally different
vibe. We just were like, oh, look at someone you can look in the eyes. Okay, Jeff, transitioning just a little bit. We always ask this of our journalists because y'all have the best stories that you're consuming in any way, shape, or form via podcast, via Netflix, wherever your stories are coming from. So what are you reading, listening to, watching that you're into right now?
I am reading The Overstory by, I believe, Richard Powers. It's a book about trees and their connection to people.
Oh, I have seen this, and it won the Pulitzer Prize. It looks like I just pulled it up for fiction. Now it's fiction. Oh, okay.
I read a combination of nonfiction and fiction.
Got it.
I'm reading another book called...
What you got?
I'm reading another book called Superhuman by Dave Asprey.
Yes, I have heard that. How's that?
Yes, he's the guy behind Bulletproof Coffee.
Yes.
Yeah. And so
is it BS? How is it? Tell us the truth.
I don't know. I think probably a lot of what's in there works. I think he's probably a little bit ahead of the science in terms of some people just kind of want to see all the evidence first, and he kind of has good enough evidence.
Cool. Got you. Yeah. By the way, back to this Powers book, the genre is environmental fiction.
Yes.
I did not know
it's sprouting up, if you will.
Wow. It says here, I just got it on Audible, so thank you for that. I get all my suggestions from this podcast. It says the book is about 9 Americans whose unique life experience with trees bring them together to address the destruction of forests. Mm-hmm. Well, yeah. I am in. Thanks, Jeff. That's fantastic. Okay. Now that we got those stories all under our belts, that's fantastic. What do you feel is the future of journalism looking like?
That's a great question. I have no idea. I feel like I got onto the journalism train about 30 years too late. But, journalism has been dying for ages now. So I think it'll continue kind of chugging along. We're trying something really interesting at Decrypt, where we are starting a decentralized newswire, us along with several partners, so that news articles can come to us from other sources. It'll be like the AP and Reuters, except more blockchain based. So it's an interesting experiment to try. I'm not sure if it's the future, but I think there's lots of experimentation going on in media right now. Not just kind of, I was going to say traditional websites, I guess.
Yes.
But now you're seeing news through TikTok. You're seeing lots of different things happening. So I think the future is going to be more experimentation.
And do you have any thoughts on, I think what we're seeing more and more, which is the subscriptions to newsletters? What do you think about that?
I don't think that's going to work.
Okay. Why is that? That was an answer. That was clear.
Yeah, I think when you're at the New York Times and you have a huge readership, you have a huge readership not because of your own name per se, but because your name at the New York Times. When you go into a Substack, good luck I have writers that I really liked and used to read that I just don't read anymore because I don't want to have to pay for their Substack. There's so much content out there that I think a lot of people feel like they don't really need to pay for anything but top tier stuff.
Well, therein lies the conundrum of the saturation of the subscriptions, because one, just saturation overall, because can you read 30 of those a day? And two, can you have $170 a month paying on subscriptions for just all the outlets and stuff? I mean, some people can, but many people can't. So how are we going to figure this out?
Yeah, it essentially probably what will be happening is batching. So
yeah, exactly.
And it'll start looking a lot more like websites used to, except now it's kind of maybe an a la carte sort of Substack batch.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, interesting. I wonder if it'll be like the Spotify of Substacks or something. We'll see. Yeah. We will see. But as noted earlier, Jeff, you all are hiring. So, hey, journalists, publicists, you're looking for a job? Maybe this is the place to be. Decrypt. Yeah. I love it.
I will always read pitches from potential freelancers and new hires.
Oh, that's a good insight. Perfect. Okay, everybody, you heard it here. You heard it here. Jeff, our last part for the day here is our little Mad Lib. Super fun. I'm going to give you the word. I'm going to write it out, fill it in, and then I'll read you back our whole little paragraph and see if it makes sense or if it's just silly or whatever. Who knows? But you never know. And sometimes we get a lot of kicks out of it. So the first word is an emotion. Any emotion.
Guilt.
Guilt. Oh, yes. An adjective.
Exasperated.
Exasperated. Another adjective.
Charmed.
Charmed. These are good ones, Jeff. Okay. A greeting of any kind.
Howdy.
Howdy. A verb.
Lambasted.
Lambasted. Okay. Damn, Jeff, with the words today. I love it. Lambasted.
Really, all that's popping into my head is like happy, sad, bored.
Yeah, I know. So you're
trying to rack my brain.
I love it. Okay. Next, a noun.
Credit card.
Credit card. Okay.
That's what's on my desk right now.
There you go. Okay. An adjective.
Let's do happy, finally.
Happy. Okay. All right, well, there we go. A cringeworthy PR term or phrase, like just following up for the 7th time.
Probably just, what is it? Just putting this back at the top of your inbox or something like that?
Okay. Just putting this back at the top of your inbox. That's particularly annoying. I'm like, great. Now I have 2 of your things in here. God damn. Okay. Part of a pitch.
The Amazon of.
Oh, God.
Blank.
Of blank. Yes, exactly. Perfect. Yep. At least it's no longer the Uber of, because I was getting tired of that a couple years ago. Okay. Length of time.
30 minutes.
30 minutes. Great. A name of a real person.
Alexander Hamilton.
Alexander Hamilton.
You can tell what Broadway show I just saw.
Yep. Hey, we'll take it.
Song's still in my head.
Got you. And then an emotion.
Jealousy.
Jealousy. Okay. Great. Where'd you see Hamilton, by the way? Are you in New York?
No, it's the tour here in Reno.
Okay. Okay, great. I was like, oof. It's on tour now. They're back in action. I love it. I love theater myself. Was it good, by the way? Did it live up to the hype? I have not actually seen it.
I mean, it was great. I was quite skeptical going in because it's tough when you've been hearing about something for 5+ years.
Right?
You're like,
that's kind of how I feel about it too. I'm like, oh, but okay. Yeah, okay. Good. I'll go with your endorsement then. That sounds good. Okay, Jeff, here is our Mad Lib. When I think of the future of journalism, I feel guilty. The pitches I receive have gone from exasperated to charmed. If I receive a pitch that starts with howdy, ooh, looks like I am lambasted. When I write stories on credit cards, I get happy. My favorite pitches include just checking back, putting this at the top of your inbox, and it's the Amazon of blank. It normally takes about 30 minutes to respond to emails, but if it's Alexander Hamilton, even if he comes back from the dead, I will respond immediately. If you do get a response back from me, you should know that I am very jealous for you.
Perfect.
I like it. I usually qualify that name of a person with a specification of ideally alive. And I did it this time. I was like, and then sure enough, it's someone dead. But you know what? Stranger things can happen. Maybe it'll be in some kind of meta form or something in virtual reality. I don't know, Jeff. Who knows?
You can be Alexander Hamilton in the metaverse.
There you go. I like it. Well, thank you so much, Jeff, for being on today. Jeff Benson, Senior Editor, Decrypt. Appreciate all this great time and the chat.
Thanks, Beck.
Thanks for listening to this week's episode of Coffee with a Journalist featuring Jeff Benson from Decrypt. If you enjoy listening to our show, make sure to subscribe on iTunes, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and anywhere else you listen to podcasts. And if you have a moment, please leave us a review to share your thoughts about the show and today's guest. To learn more about the latest tools on OnePitch and to subscribe to our weekly podcast newsletter, head to our website at onepitch.co. We'll see you all next week with a brand new guest and even more insights about the journalists you want to learn more about. Until then, start great stories.